Hey, we're live. All right. I'm here with Tony, our head of product, and Ellie from the 608 team. All right. Drop in the chat. Let us know if you can hear us. Sorry about the mix up on times, but we are rolling now, and this will be recorded so that you can grab it later in case the timing didn't work out well. Perfect. Thanks, Zach. Ellie, I want to introduce you a little bit, but you are a longtime Sisu client. How many years do you think you guys have been with us?
Oh my God, I'm so bad with timing right now. Since now that I have 2 kids under 2, time is like elusive to me. So you could tell me more than I am, but I think we were early adopters right away when we heard about it.
I think so. I think so. And we wanted to highlight you specifically on this webinar and the 608 team because you guys have had an interesting way of using challenges, which I think is really cool, and using a specific point system. So I definitely want to jump into that. Some housekeeping. We are going to dive in with Ellie about how the 608 team runs challenges, especially their daily success habits. Shout out to Workman Success. If anyone is coming to this webinar from that network, hello. We are definitely going to highlight that. We'll dive into the metrics of challenges, how to create them, some of the mechanics behind the scenes, and we'll definitely have time for some Q&A. So that's a little bit of housekeeping. But Ellie, tell us a little bit about your metrics and challenges in Sisu right now.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's easier to show it when you pull up the record button on ours, but we use, I guess, high level. We use challenges to track our daily activities that we do as a real estate team and real estate agents. You mentioned Workman Success Systems. So my husband and I are both real estate coaches through Workman Success Systems, and they have one of their key concepts, they call it, is about prospecting. And the tool that we use to measure prospecting is daily success habits, or DSH. And really it's just a point value that we give to certain tasks that we do as real estate agents. So I'll give you an example of one is door knocking, and door knocking is 10 points, 2 points per door. So if you do 5 doors, that's 10 points, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason that Workman came up with this idea of daily success habits is it's very easy in real estate to think that you went to work and did a full days of work and end up with very little results if you're not focusing on the right things, right? So things that actually move your business forward, dollar productive activities, right? Like we talk about that all the time in various coaching settings. And so they just essentially gave point values to dollar productive activities that then translate into success in real estate, and through research figured out what that number was per day that makes you successful, or that makes you move your business forward, and it ended up being 61 points a day. So we use Sisu challenges to track where we're at in that goal of 61 points a day, or 305 points per week, which is 5 days a week, 61 points per day.
All right, let's pick on Katie from your team. We've got a screenshot of your rolling weekly challenge to hit that 305 per week?
Yep.
305 per week. Okay. So she has, one buyer agreement that's worth 10 points. She has an appointment that's also worth 10. So these are weighted all differently, right? I'm seeing texts are worth 1 each, right?
Yeah, and that's super intentional, right? Because being face-to-face with people is very different than shooting a random text message to someone. So you'll see that kind of the lower hanging fruit, the easier things to do and the less personal things have a lower point value. So in order to achieve success with them, you have to have a lot more of them. And then you'll see that the things that are more meaningful have a higher point value, such as, writing an offer. So it's points for the actual activity rather than the result.
Yeah, but it makes sense for a brand new agent, for example, where they're going to spend a lot of time on those leading metrics, as they should, right? Building up that pipeline. What were you going to say, Tony?
Yeah, so I'm actually taking a look at her record screen today, and it mirrors everything that's on here. So when you do the buyer appointments, you're actually using the activity tracker and not necessarily the transaction and setting a date, right?
Correct. Yeah. So in the record button in Sisu, we have point values set up so that on the back end, when someone records, let's say 1 buyer appointment, so buyer appointment's worth 10 points, right? So on the back end in the challenges, we have it set up that when they hit 1 for the record button, that tracks to 10 points in the Sisu challenge. And so it's counting up in the challenges where the record button just shows 1. But we actually did just recently, you can probably see it here, the total daily points. Actually, our real estate coach, Caprice, shout out to Caprice. I was struggling with how do we visually show people what their points values were on a daily basis. And so we added a dial here called total daily points, that people can add up their points for their day so that we can just click through and see like, okay, what were your daily points versus having to in the challenges divide by how many days of the week. So we kind of have it the best of both worlds now where people can see where they're at for the day, but also see where they are at for the week. And the cool thing about the rolling total is we all know real estate is like sort of unpredictable in some ways. And sometimes we take half of a day on Tuesday off because we worked all weekend, right? So it's less about having to hit all your points in that specific day. And sorry, work probably may not agree with me fully on this because their thing is really 61 points a day, but there's a little bit of flex when you look at it on the rolling weekly basis as well.
Definitely a good framework to keep in mind. Tony, I've actually gotten some questions over the week about just metrics in general from folks who are newer to Sisu, and this will help anyone who doesn't use Sisu yet. But what are the metrics that contribute to challenges, and how do agents and team leads start seeing metrics in Sisu?
Yeah, so there's a handful of different ways. One is absolutely through the record screen. You can create any type of metric you want here. It's fair to say that a handful of these are actually custom ones that the 608 team has created. We have several different activities already baked into Sisu, but you can have anything and everything you want here. Anything that's you feel is important to your team, you can build. I actually really like the idea of them doing it this way because they could pull this up on their mobile phone. They could have it just on another tab, just hit the plus or minus. You can actually come in here and just type in whatever it is as well. So it just makes it super, super easy. You can also, anything that's put in within a transaction, you can also set a challenge on. So whether it's appointment set, appointment met, under contract units, all of those different metrics that are recorded can be done. It can also be done off of volume and GCI. So we'll go through unless you wanted me to do it now, but I could actually go through the mechanics of setting up a challenge, and we could walk you through all of that stuff.
Yeah, we'll jump back and I'll show Ellie's teams just what the challenge looks like aggregated real quick. And then let's jump back into the mechanics of a challenge. So here, I'll bump you off of there. But I also see a question about how data comes in. And Tony mentioned those baked in metrics we have about transactions along the top, the appointment set, appointment met, signed, under contract, closed. Some of those details can also come through one of our CRM integrations, which makes it, a jumpstart experience. Agents can come in, just view challenges and see the metrics that they've already been inputting in through their CRM, right?
Yeah, we actually use, and this isn't a plug for it because I don't know, I didn't tell you guys about this in advance, but you know that we use Follow Up Boss. And so a lot of these are actually direct links to Follow Up Boss, and that's why they look like they're locked there, is because our conversations, our texts, our emails automatically sync here, which is really nice. So then agents are having to track less items. Then they're really only having to track the ones that don't already funnel in here directly from our CRM.
Mm-hmm. One more thing to note here is agents don't have to do the math of their 61 points by using this, right? Because they can say, okay, I had one conversation, I had 8 text messages, and I had a buyer agreement signed, right?
Yeah.
So plugging this in will do the math for them with that challenge set up, right, Ellie?
Correct. Yes, the challenge. The only thing that you have to manually update, and this is our workaround temporarily, and I know, we talk about how maybe there'll be changes to this in the future, but right now, just the total daily points button is something that we have to manually do. But that's why I put, as you can see, my workaround for this is just having the number of points per each activity in the parentheses there, so that agents know if I put 1 buyer point written, that's 10 points, and I just need to add 10 there. So it's really easy math. And honestly, we don't mind that it's manual like that. And I know actually our real estate coach suggests it in some ways because we want people to be understanding the value of an activity, right? So it's not a bad thing for your agents to have to calculate like, okay, I got 10 points for writing this offer, or to realize, oh, this one text message is only worth 1 point because it's just very low hanging fruit and you're going to get less out of it. So I actually think there's some benefit to having to manually do it right here and to understand the point system by having to manually do it. And then also, yeah, like you said, the challenges just roll up. So that's nice too.
Right. Got to prioritize the day.
Yeah.
I'll go back and show here. We'll show real quick again. This is a breakdown for one agent, and this is that rolling weekly view. So she can see exactly how she's doing, if she's on track for that 305. When we look at Ellie's weekly challenge, it will actually roll up and show everybody's production. So we'll be able to see those. This, is this is a screenshot from yesterday, right? So they're just one day into the week, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think we have ours set up, and I think you can pick what you want your rolling dates to be, but I think we have ours set up that it runs Monday through Sunday. So this is just, if you took the screenshot yesterday, it would just be Monday's production and work.
So awesome.
We'd want to see that.
Murray has time to pick up.
Yes, he does. Exactly. And I was like, oh my gosh, usually I didn't look at this before you guys took the screenshot. Otherwise I would have done more. I'm just kidding.
All good. All good. We maybe should talk about your most recent challenge, which is the March Madness Challenge.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, we're, I guess, opening it up to everyone because the more the merrier. So if people are interested in doing this, we're happy to have people join us. I think you guys have a little sheet on it. I don't know if it's easier to pull it up, but
yeah.
Yeah. So we decided, what we see in real estate is that we're already almost in Q2, right? And so in real estate, what you do now really takes effect probably, let's say 60 to 90 days in the future, right? And so I think a lot of people really struggle with that because you don't always see the fruits of your prospecting labor now, right? And so we decided if we can really kickstart prospecting now, this will probably set us up for not only a great Q2, but probably a good Q3 and honestly the whole year, because it's easier to start while you're ahead. And in our market, at least, where we do have seasonality in terms of weather and winter, we really want people to be 75% of the way through their year, before Q4 happens, right? I try to really front load my business so that, I'm not relying on the quote unquote slower months to catch up from the months that I really should be pounding the pavement. And so we're doing, in honor of March Madness, starting Monday, with, again, some of our other workman success coaches. Mike Koch is the owner of Terra Firma Realty, and Caprice Gunn is the owner of Revo. We are doing a daily success habits challenge with them, where essentially we're tracking, we're going to break up into teams, and they're going to be across the board, different agents from different teams, so we get to know different people. And essentially whoever gets the most 61-point days is going to win that week, and then ultimately win March Madness with prizes during the week and then at the end of the event as well. So it's just a way to kickstart using our systems too. So it really brings agents back to understanding what they should be doing every single day to find success in real estate, and brings them back to the tools, the tracking. So the goal of this was not to have it tracked in a different system than we use every single day. It was to get really comfortable with FUB and Sisu, so that all you have to do is keep doing it the rest of the year, right? So that's what's nice about being able to track. We'll still be able to track in Sisu.
I love it.
One of the questions we get all the time, and you mentioned it, is prizes. What are some examples?
Oh gosh, well I can't tell you this yet because our team doesn't know yet, and quite frankly, we hop on a call because a bunch of our leaders are actually 2 out of 3 of the teams are on their way to Cabo right now for the real estate conference that's going on there. So we still have to kind of chat through and finalize, but we hear cash is honestly one of the biggest one that people just like to win money, but also our other thought is things that make real estate easier, right? So tools that, whether it's AirPods or whatever, that someone can actually use to do a better job at real estate.
One that I worked with a team, they had the highest conversion, the highest participation in a challenge ever was for car detailing. They did it group versus group. And yeah, that falls into the category of things that help with real estate, right? Your door to door. So they had a group versus group. The winning group just got to show up to work, and they had a mobile detailer come to the office.
Cool.
So great.
Yeah, we actually, that's funny because Dom gets his done quarterly in our driveway, and it is the best. And I took his car through the driveway this morning, or the drive-through this morning. So I think that's a good idea.
Totally. Okay, so we got some questions on how can somebody join in with the March Madness Challenge. What have you envisioned, Ellie?
I guess I think we can include some contact info maybe in the link. Zach, if you want to just pop in, or Tony, whoever, you can pop in my email there. And if they want to reach out, we can get them signed up.
Awesome. And how they would do it is set it up just like you have with the daily success habits, right?
Yeah, I think that would be the best way. So, I'm open to, like, if you're a Sisu user already, then this should be relatively easy. I think you could probably just talk to your success coach. I can't remember the exact name, but
Account manager. Yep.
Account manager. Yes. And I'm happy for them to copy how we have on our back end. If they have any questions, they can let me know. Otherwise, we use Tanner, so he knows ours pretty well. So if they want to just copy this, that would be totally fine. And then we're going to actually just do like one spreadsheet at the end, just of like the total points, to have it in one centralized location. But this would be the way that they could track. Or if you're a Workman coach, you can track in Workbench too. So
great. And with this, it makes it easy to screenshot the team's rolled up challenges, right? And compare with Ellie, the 608 team, as well as the two other teams that you have in the group. Yep. We should definitely shout out Workman Success. I know that we have some friends joining from that network, but this is their bread and butter, right? The Daily Success Habits Tracker. So here is a quick QR code if you want to grab that and learn more about that. After this, Tony, I'll bring back your screen share. Let's go into some of the details of how to set up a challenge and what are the different options that we have in there. Okay, we'll bump that. All right, let me know when you're ready, Tony. On that create challenge screen, we can take a look at all of the settings.
Yep, I am there.
Perfect. Okay, so one of the first questions that we get asked all the time is what types of challenges can be run in Sisu? So we have a few different types in that challenge type dropdown. Do you want to show us, Tony? Okay. Describe to us each of these three types. We have race, everybody wins, and per unit.
Yeah, so a race is basically you're racing for first, second, and third, and whatever point value you award, it'll, as the activities happen, that's what you're shooting for. That's probably one of the least used ones that we have. Everyone wins. You basically set a threshold, and as soon as that threshold is met, you win. The per unit is the most common that we use, and what Ellie is using today. So this is where on a per activity basis, you set up how many points each item is going to contribute to your overall points, whether it be 1 point or 10 points or 100 points on the particular activity. That's what you'd use. So I dare say that almost everybody uses the per unit option. So I'll go ahead and select that.
Yep.
And then here, once you choose the type, now you can choose what the time period is, and we can do day, week, month, quarter, year, and custom. In Ellie's case, she's doing the weeks, and then it'll set up what time frame you want. A lot of people do a month. My recommendation is you actually stick to either the day, week, or month metrics. If you get too far out, you're going to spend way too much time promoting it.
Yeah, word to the wise, for your own personal burnout, stick to some shorter challenges.
Yeah. So a lot of teams that do monthly challenges, which are very beneficial.
Right. If we circle back to the challenge types, I was just going to recommend a couple use cases for each of these. Race, if you're trying to get some metrics into production like quickly, like that could even be great for something that you're trying to incentivize over a day. Even, the first person to get 3 appointments set, for example, maybe you're doing a call blitz. I think that would be a great purpose for race. For everybody wins, some use cases that I've seen worked well are like President's Club, something that is running over a year or a quarter, a longer time period, where once we hit a certain, for example, closed volume count or volume or count of closed would be a great use of everybody wins. Have you guys ever run something like that, Ellie?
No, you're like giving me so many ideas now, and now I'm going to have some more questions for you because I see value in that for sure. Like even thinking about like how our team set up, like, I've got my wheels spinning. I'm thinking right now that there's a couple different ways that I would love to see if we can use that as well. So I'll have more questions on it, but we haven't.
But yeah, I think race is great, especially if you're doing like a call blitz or something where everybody's in the office trying to get the first person to, hit a certain threshold of points. That's a fantastic one that I think we can utilize more. Per unit is the favorite. It allows you to add all of those different metrics into one challenge and aggregate the numbers. So, okay, maybe we should talk about the scopes and challenges, Tony.
Yeah, you bet. So there's a handful of different scopes that you can do. So make sure you scroll down and kind of look at all of them. But team it's the entire team, like everyone that is present. ISA is just the ISA roles itself. The agent, if you want to do just agent ones. The team versus team is interesting. If you want to do team versus team, this is like Ellie's team going up against another team. And you'd actually need to hit the chat button to help get that set up. And then once you do that, then you can actually select the team. Now, where she's part of the Workman Success, all of the Workman Success is already there, so she could actually just set that up already. The other one that's very, very popular is group versus group. There's tons of different agents. A lot of people will do like men versus women, or team A versus team B. Whatever dynamics that you guys have in the office it can be a group. To set up groups, you'd actually just go into the admin section of Sisu under preferences, and then there's a group setting, and you can set up as many groups as you would like. Just be aware that some people can be in the same group or in multiple different groups. So you just don't select groups where people's numbers would be added twice. But
I think, like, just to pause there for a second, just to make it relevant for like agents who are trying to use this or team leaders, that to me seems like a huge opportunity for like broker owners or just people with larger teams, right? Like for us, we're small but mighty, so like it wouldn't necessarily make sense to group our agents within each other, although there could be cases for it, and it is on my mind of something that we plan to do. But if I was a broker owner or if I was a team leader with a large team, like I feel like that's a really good way to engage people on your team, because I know sometimes at a brokerage level it's super hard to engage agents, and like even if you have teams under the brokers, right, it'd be really cool to do those challenges. You could do the groupings. Each grouping could be a team under that brokerage too. So I think that would be a really cool option for someone.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I visited a team last week, and that's exactly what they do. They're within their team, they have a little over 200 agents, and that's split up between about 15 different team leaders, and each team leader has their own group. And the banter between all of those is actually quite fun to watch. So
that's great. I know Spring, the Utah Life team that we work with frequently, they have often done like a schoolyard pick. So they'll create some team captains behind closed doors. They'll divvy out team members to create different groups. But it definitely creates engagement when you keep changing it up. And I think for our small but mighty teams, that team versus team ability is really cool, and that's quite new. So that we can actually have, while it might not make sense to segment your team into small, like 2 or 3 person groups. Yeah, we can do 5-on-5 or something like that. Maybe we create a thread in the Facebook group for people to connect and do more team versus team challenges, especially when teams are of, a similar size.
Perfect. So the one that we should discuss is what are you actually basing the challenge off of, right? So you have basically every single metric that is built within Sisu, you can build on. So one of the chat comments was, okay, well, I integrate with a CRM. A lot of these numbers come in from my CRM. Do I need to do anything special? The answer is no. In a lot of cases, your CRM is pushing over the appointment set, the appointment met. And so you can base the challenge off of that, set up the challenge, and you're off to the races. It would be 100% automated from that point. The other thing that you can do is you can set it up for recurring. So I didn't actually look, but I'm pretty sure that Ellie's challenges are recurring, so she doesn't have to set them up every single week. At the beginning of the week, they just are automatically there and ready to go. And so you can set up those recurring challenges for any frequency that you'd like.
Nice. One thing that people get confused about when I'm working with them on challenges is, hey, okay, so I want multiple metrics in a challenge. How do I do that? And so when we say something's a challenge, we're actually creating something looking at just one metric, right? But our challenge board is smart enough to know that anything that's running during the same period of time, we're going to be able to aggregate into one overarching leaderboard. So if we remember, here, I'll pick on this, on Katie again. This is probably, how many metrics are in the daily success habits? Maybe, a couple dozen that they could participate in. So Ellie actually has that many individual challenges running at the same time. So here, I'll jump back to Tony's screen. But yeah, so for Ellie's, if you are into the daily success habits, each of these little challenges is going to be focusing on each of those metrics, recurring so that you don't have to set it up again. That's lovely. Let's see what else we should cover here. Points weighting.
Yeah, I'll just to kind of show a couple more things over here, and then I'll actually pull up the challenges board for Ellie's team. But once the challenges are created, you can actually come in here and view them. Take a look at them. We paginate. For all the challenges that are still running, if you need to tweak things a little bit, you do have the ability to hit the little pencil over here on the right and change it. Maybe you got the metric wrong. So, you can do that. You can also set challenges up historically. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll actually go through and calculate those challenges on previous periods. So there's a lot of flexibility on doing that. If you do things in the past, I definitely, once you set it up, I recommend hitting this little button right here, and it'll go and capture those numbers for you.
Oh, that's great. And one thing that we should try talk about is points. So Ellie's challenges for the daily success habits have those set point values already. So for example, if they have, let's see, handwritten notes, 2 points. Great. So in her challenge for handwritten notes, each count of a handwritten note will be worth 2 points. So that's where to do that in the challenge section.
Just for this record button too, I only put in parentheses the point value for anything that wasn't 1 point. So if there isn't a parentheses, everyone just knows that that's 1 point, just for simplicity. So
perfect. Love that. All right, should we take a look at the challenge leaderboard? Nice.
All right, so in here, this is her weekly challenge. There's a handful of things that you can do. Just starting at the top, you can come over here to the filter. You can basically scope it down to everything that you want to see. So in this case, we're looking at active challenges, the year 2025, and then I can actually drive it down into the month as well. So if I choose March, I get all of the challenges that are running in March. And then if I want to drill it down into the week, like she runs, I can actually click on whatever week it is as well. The inclusive versus exclusive. Inclusive means that whenever, if whatever the date range is, whether it crosses a month or even a year, really, we'll pull the challenge in there because it's start or finish is within the time frame that you asked for. Exclusive means that I'm specifically looking for a challenge that starts and ends within the period that I'm looking for.
So, Tony, if Ellie were to run a year-long President's Club challenge, she could have that running in the background. And what would she do to view that? To view her weeklies versus the year challenge?
So you do it exactly like this. You just put the year for 2025. Don't select a month, and then hit apply filter, and then it would pull her year-long challenges. And we mentioned Spring's team before. That's exactly what they do. They have those yearly challenges running in the background that you can kind of check up on your status at all times.
Nice.
So once we set the, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna do that. I'm such a proponent of like killing two birds with one stone. And I feel like this could be the cool thing about this is like not only does it track then daily, weekly, but also like even like awards for the year you could base off of like people's, obviously production is what we focus on a ton in real estate and sales, but like if we want to talk about like the actual habits, this would be cool to pull for the year.
Yeah. So basically once you have whatever filter you're running right here and hit apply, it's going to go through and grab all the different challenges that are within that scope and aggregate them together. So, and that's what would calculate this. At any one point, you can come over here to the right-hand side, choose whatever filter you want or whatever challenge you want to look at. So let's take a look at emails, for instance. Now we're only looking at that email and how they're doing. If I want,
I love the confetti. This is new in Sisu Next.
It's a cool touch. I'm a big fan. If I want to see head to head how people are doing, so let's say we'll take a look at first and second place here. I'll do Katie and Ellie, and I get a head to head challenge. And it kind of shows, okay, out of all the different pieces, who's winning at different areas.
I love that.
So that's a really cool way of viewing the information as well.
And I should mention, if you're looking in Sisu challenges and you're not seeing this, you're probably in Sisu Classic. So to get to Sisu Next, there's a button on the header says try Sisu Next. Perfect. Yep. You'll know that you're in Next if all the menus are on the left-hand side. So some of what Tony's been showing have been features that are unique to Sisu Next, like all of those filters. That whole filtering option is new to Next.
Yeah, obviously the confetti's new, so that's the head-to-head challenge piece is new. The filtering is new. The filtering is really powerful. In Sisu Next or Classic, we weren't able to really drill that in. One of the next things we're going to be doing is being able to create a saved filter, so you can do any custom grouping that you'd ever want. So that's coming soon. So the other thing that you can do is you say, okay, well, let's take a look at Katie. I can actually just click on it. This is kind of similar to the screenshot that you had pulled up earlier. But these are all the different challenges that Katie is involved in and how she does in every single one. And it gives her how her rank is. So
that's awesome. So this would be, if we were actually concerned that Katie might be fudging her numbers, we could click into here and double check and see where everything's coming from, right?
Yeah.
I get that question a lot from teams that are like, hey, how can I have some more visibility into my agents' numbers? So this would be a great way where you would be able to see, okay, where exactly are all of those points coming from? And, is it realistic? Maybe it's not realistic that someone has 500 conversations in a day, but 50, yes, right?
Well, and that's where I think it's so important to weight it, right? Because conversations, I could go in and I have 500 conversations, right? But if I made them all worth 1 point, it's not gonna take a lot, and it'll be easy to know that, hey, maybe this isn't really happening. Whereas I make an appointment set or an appointment met, 10 or 20 points or something, then I can actually go improve that. With it in Ellie's case, she's still tracking that with an activity. But if she really wanted to reconcile that, she could go pull up the transaction page and say, hey, this isn't actually right. Let's get that corrected.
Well, also, I mean, the best part about Sisu, right, in general, like the dials is showing like your conversion from like a conversation to appointment set to appointment met to sign. And so like it also is helping us as team leaders to understand like where there may be where there may be an issue, or like at what point in the process is there an issue, right? Is it you're not having enough conversations to set an appointments? Is it that this really like helps us dive into like if you are hitting your 61 points, but it's not showing in a lag metric like an appointment set met sign, then we obviously have some sort of issue with messaging and we need to get higher skill set, right? So like I think the more important piece of this is like the zoomed out view of figuring out, like, again, to me, these challenges, like if there were a dial, like the circular dial to the left of conversations, it would be like these daily success habits, right? Because these lead to the conversation, lead to the set met sign. So it's really just like one more granular level of like, how are we getting the business that we're getting and where do we need to improve in order to hit the goals that we have set in CCU too. So.
Absolutely.
That's great. Question came in. Do you, for these weekly challenges that you do, are you actually giving awards on a per week if you hit your numbers? Do you do it monthly or do you do it weekly?
Yeah, that's actually like, I need to rewatch this actually, because I have a lot of ideas stemming from this. To be honest, we haven't been great about putting this at the forefront of our business. So we've kind of reinvigorated things. And that's part of the reason we did the March Madness, is to like slowly get us all back into Sisu and all back into tracking. So going forward, that is something that I for sure have on our horizon. It isn't something that we've done so far. We've done like various challenges, sort of like this March Madness. We did one around conversations for a giveaway that we did for an Airbnb like weekend up north. But it's something going forward that I think we're going to really have more conversations around as a leadership team and figure out how to incentivize and how to move the needle forward. Especially I think see this being super useful, not just in like the busy spring market, but also in winter. We're like, we're incentivizing the work being done, even if the transactions aren't necessarily coming at that time. So
right,
it's
before the tulips bloom. Yeah.
Exactly. Seriously, because like truly, like the only way you have a successful Q1, like if you're watching this right now and you only have a couple things on the books for the year, then you probably didn't do everything the last quarter of 2024. So yeah, totally. I see a lot of that.
Something that I thought of is an incentive in itself is just visibility into the numbers. I'm guessing that's something that you guys are doing though, Ellie, right? Do you throw some of these up on TVs, or do you like to Slack numbers out? How do you guys like to put this out into the team universe?
So yeah, so like our actual Sisu dials, we actually use in our Tuesday team meeting. So we've got we take a screenshot of the last week, the last month, and then year to date, so we can see how we're trending. And then as far as this goes, this is again our reintegration into the system and using it more. So we're gonna start also using this in that setting. And I'm working on revamping some of our individual one-on-one coaching agendas. And so this will be a big part of that too. And actually, Tony, the idea of a filter is really appealing to me, because one of the things that we have agents do is we have them come prepared to that one-on-one meeting where they basically fill out, like a status of where they are for the last month. And one of the things that they're going to have to do is, my idea is sharing how many points they've been getting and where they're getting them from. So if it's very easy for them to just say, last month, this is how many points I had in buyer agreements, right? That's going to be super helpful if that's a filter. So
Cool. And at your weekly team meeting, it makes it really easy for them to pull up their challenge and say for last week, hit or miss, right? For the 305. But when I'm thinking of challenges, sometimes, has anyone read like the Love Languages book from back in the day? Words of affirmation are super important, especially in a work setting, being told that you're doing well. So in terms, rewards are great, but sometimes just the validation in a public setting can do the trick too. So I think it's great to have this up during, perfect, Tony. This is the Utah Life Teams, their wall of Sisu. And they have this running all the time, but especially they hone in on some of the challenges and leaderboards during team meetings so they can specifically shout out individuals during that. And I think that is worth its weight in gold. You don't have to worry about an actual reward every single time. Like if you're running this every single week, just having someone, to proclaim as, hey, like you nailed it. Tell us about your wins. Because once you're doing those daily activities, you definitely have some wins to share as well.
For sure. Yeah, the reason we switched, because I know we could have set up our challenges. I know I mentioned before that they have to manually do the daily total, but we could have set up the challenge to be a daily challenge. The reason we did it the weekly is because we do have a big screen TV, and that's one of the things we're planning to start doing is having that up on the big screen TV. And it's just not great if it's every single day, because if you come in at 8 a.m., then, there might be no points yet. So that's why we'll have it running on the weekly basis so that we can have it displayed kind of like Spring has here. It's something on our list too. So
yeah.
And I believe this might look small in this picture, but these are actually like 85-inch TVs. It is massive. And then, right in front of this leaderboard is where all the agents sit. That's where they do their calling. That's where they do all their prospecting. And so as they go in and put all their numbers into Sisu, these will be updated live as it. So it's just a constant reminder of like, hey, did I hit my numbers for the day? And in your case, 61. And I really like the way that you were thinking about it as bringing it into your one-on-ones with these metrics, because where that's Workman's program, right? So they are that when you sign up for your team, that's just what the expectation is, right? So when they come and share you these numbers, it's like, yeah, I did what I was supposed to do this week.
Totally.
And in itself, that's fairly rewarding. I love to be at the end of my week and be like, hey, everything that I wrote down on my punch list is done.
Yeah. Like I said, because real estate is such a long lag time from like the work that you're doing and seeing the fruits of your labor, I think that's what this bridges that gap really beautifully. And if you focus on that as much as focusing on, the outcome of that, which, closings and accepted offers are super important too, then I think that's where you like eliminate sort of that like roller coaster in real estate, which is like, I was so busy servicing people that I didn't do any prospecting. And we've had to like have this conversation again lately, because it does get confusing of like, well, I worked all day. Like I was in FUB all day. And it's like, okay, but were those follow-ups with people that we've already talked to, or was this prospecting? And really the DSH, I should mention this, is about prospecting, which means like new people, like new conversations, new texts. It's not a follow-up text to someone you've already met with, right? And that is going to track in here. So we do have to do a little bit of padding with that, right? Because like if you're calling out of follow-up boss, it is going to track it as a text or conversation. Like even if you're texting another agent, which is why I typically recommend, at least for us, how we have it flowing in. I recommend keeping it to like client conversations versus agent to agent conversations. But that's kind of tangential. But yeah, it certainly keeps you focused on what has to happen every single day. And really what has to happen, honestly, I think has to kind of happen in the beginning of the day, because if you don't do it, you just get so bogged down, especially in spring market with servicing for the rest of your day, that like if you don't do the prospecting right away, it's very easy to skip it for the day. And then you run into the issue of, I had 4 closings this month and I have 0 next month, right?
Right. That's how I think about Sisu in general is, as an agent, when you're in Sisu and you can see your dashboards and conversion ratios, it makes it a recipe for success, right? A winnable game that you can come in and you can win your day every single day and know and have the comfort that by doing those leading metrics, dials, conversations, appointments set, signs, that is going to have, by the math of sales that's in Sisu, get you to where you need to be.
Totally. And for leaders, I think it does like keep people a lot more engaged, even like using these challenges in the way that we do, like the daily challenges and like hitting a certain point value versus like at the higher level lag metrics of like even the set met signed maybe gets you in Sisu less times. This would get you in there a lot more to be tracking, right? And so I think it really helps people engage with the system too. So like I would highly suggest adopting whatever point system is important to you. And even if it's not like assigning a certain value to a different activity, even if it's just you're just tracking the number of each of these items, I would think it would get agents into this platform more and ultimately make them more successful, right?
Right.
Totally agree.
All right. So this is Sisu Challenges in Next. Want to shout out one more time the Daily Success Habits Tracker from Workman Success Systems. Grab this QR code if you haven't already, if you're interested in that, working with Ellie. Or if you are new to Sisu and you like what you see, definitely just grab some time with us on our team's calendar, and you'll get an exclusive discount for signing up in conjunction with this webinar. Okay, throw in any last questions into the Q&A. But while we're here and while we have you, Tony, I always love to get a little tidbits of things that are coming to Sisu that are in the pipeline. What can you tease us?
Oh boy. Well, we talked about a couple in challenges already. One is that the filterability and saved filters.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done the display mode for challenges yet in Next, so that's coming. So for those that want to do display mode, you're going to have to do it in Classic for the time being.
Mm-hmm. But that's the TV mode where we can have that standing link that we'll be able to throw up on a monitor, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
We're very much focused on getting Next across the finish line. Our goal is to get it 100% replaced. The very next set of features that are going to come out is our forms and fields, all the settings for that, and then also the we revamped all of our ROI reports. So those will be coming out next week.
Oh,
the client.
Sorry?
Was there new stuff with the client portal too?
We don't have anything new with the client portal yet, but that's actually, I guess that's not true, because maybe I'm sneaking these out, but we're actually working on an e-signature platform.
Cool.
You're going to have to come to spring break next week to get all the deets.
I know. Spring break. We're excited. I think Tony and I will be there. Ellie, sounds like we'll miss you at this time, right?
I know. I've got a 5-month-old at home, but that's why Tom on his own. But I do really want to come. So TBD. It's closer than the event he's at right now. So maybe.
Yeah. Well, if you can't come to spring break next week, we have our next behind the scenes real estate event. I believe that's in May. And we can get that to share it out to everyone as well. But the e-signature is going to be really cool. And the whole intent is it's completely integrated with Sisu. It's going to work with all your form fields. It's actually going to be a force capturing tool. And you mentioned the client portal. Clients are going to be able to sign all their documents within the client portal.
Nice. Super. Zach just sent the link to our May behind the scenes of a real estate machine event. That's where you can see in-person springs wall of Sisu with all of the TVs and metrics and challenges that they're running and how they use those during team meetings, which is always my favorite part. And it looks like we have a coupon code there. Okay, looks like we don't have any more questions right now, but we will send out the recording via email. If we missed you at the time, apologies. Glad that you can tune in a little bit later to catch up on what we were talking about. And we will send some links in that follow-up email too. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.